The Blaze Radio Network. On demand. Glenn Beck.
White, wealthy, and privileged. Oh my gosh, run! Last night, the Democrats chose somebody to deliver the Democratic response that really kind of shows how out of touch they really are. If you're going after white, wealthy, and privileged, you don't pick a Kennedy to deliver the message. Democrats continue to claim that they are the party of diversity and the poor, but last night, the grandson of Robert Kennedy was handpicked, of course, by Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, two white, wealthy, and privileged people desperately clinging to the glory days of the Democratic Party. So blinded by their perception of the past that they refuse to address the Kennedy family history, which, just I would like to point out, does include a history of deception, infidelity, sexual misconduct, and murder. Leaving a woman on the floorboard of a car, to die because you didn't want to get caught having sex with her. I mean, me too. Hashtag me too. Good heavens. How do you put a Kennedy on the pedestal during the Me Too movement? Does nobody remember this? Does anyone remember he left her to die to cover it all up? That's what happened. And his family helped him cover it up. Mary Jo Kopechne was the former secretary of Joe Kennedy's grandfather. Let me say that again. The secretary of the guy last night that they picked, the secretary of the grandfather, let's get this right. Mary Jo Kopechne was the secretary of the grandfather that they had on last night. That's nuts. And it's not like after that, the Kennedys went, oh, you know what? Boy, we've been a bad family. Maybe we should clean up our act. They continue. Democrats, if I may quote Nancy Pelosi, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. It was so much cooler when she said it. If Trump's election didn't send a clear message that the American people are done with political dynasties, I don't know what will. Nancy, Chuck, there's so much here to learn from, but one is stop digging up the Kennedys.
It's Wednesday, January 31st. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
So we assigned this out. We assigned the
full disclosure here.
Yeah, to watch Joe Kennedy last night. Did you notice something wrong with his? Maybe it was just the way the lights were on him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Joe Kennedy last night delivered the address, and it. I don't think anybody was watching by that time. And here to talk about it, the man we assigned is Jeff Fisher. Hello, Jeffy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And, hey, this country, from textiles to robots, is a place that knows how to make great things. I mean, he told us that. And, we believe that.
It's amazing to have someone actually watch watch this and not have to actually deal with viewing it myself, because I did not want to hear any of the content of it, but I kind of figured it would be like, textiles.
I'm kind of disappointed because because it was Kennedy, and was he at least any good at it, Jeffy?
Look, it would be easy to dismiss the past year as chaos, Glenn, partisan politics, but for them, dignity isn't something you're born with, but something you measure by your net worth, your celebrity, your headlines, your crowd size.
Wow.
Oh, because the Democrats have never played any identity politics when it comes to celebrity. They didn't have the first celebrity president or anything. That's not how they promoted Barack Obama with his giant rallies or anything like that. No, this is all new. This is only Donald Trump, a brand new thing for Republicans.
Right. So what else did he talk about?
Look, they're turning American life into a zero-sum game, Glenn, where in order to win, another must lose. Mm-hmm. Where we can guarantee America's safety if we slash our safety net. Mm-hmm. Coal miners or single moms.
Can I just ask a question? Is it like Jeffy even watched this, or is he just quoting everything?
It does sort of feel like potentially Jeffy. He certainly is. He definitely. I think I can say this.
Yeah.
He definitely saw the video of it. I'm sensing from as we talk to him, he definitely saw the video.
I didn't see the video of it. So
well, look.
Well, I mean, we
choose an economy strong enough to boast record stock prices and brave enough to admit the top CEOs making 300 times the average worker is not right, Glenn.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
And I'd just like to say to all the dreamers, let me be clear.
Look in the camera when you say that, will you?
Just like to say to all the...
This camera over
this
here.
Camera here?
Yeah.
I'd like to just say to all the dreamers, ustedes no importan nuestra historia, vamos
he
a
did
luchar
not.
por usted.
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Oh, you want to talk about pandering?
No, he did not.
He actually went to. So you're saying this is amazing. He actually broke into the Spanish to pander even more to the Dreamers. Which again, we already found out in the Trump part of the speech that saying that Americans can be dreamers too was incredibly offensive, and now apparently so offensive that they had to double pander to the Hispanic audience by actually breaking into. I just don't like.
I do have to. I do have to point out that last night. I mean, I saw a little bit of it this morning. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was like Joe Kennedy had a chapstick accident. Did you notice that, Jeffy? Do you think people?
No, I don't think anybody noticed. I think everybody heard the words that he said about proudly marching together, thousands deep in the streets of Vegas, Philadelphia, Nashville.
Right.
I think they all heard that. They paid. I mean, looks. You're not supposed to pay attention. To
well, I didn't.
It seems like when people quote Joe Kennedy's words, they tend to have a little bit of a. I don't know if I would call it an accident. But they seem to have an issue with chapstick when they quote his word.
Jeffy, did you see any of that?
I did not. I mean, look, politicians can be cheered for the promises they make. Our country will be judged by the promises we keep.
Okay. All right, Jeffy, thank you so much. It's been great to have you on.
You build a wall, we'll tear it down.
All right.
I'll say this. I wouldn't normally recommend people view a Jeffy segment instead of just listening, but...
This is thank you for the update. I appreciate
You're welcome.
That.
I'm happy to do it.
Very good.
Happy to do it.
Joe Kennedy.
Now, if you think that you may have missed some of that, we just gave you the information, so we fulfilled our obligation here. But there might have been a little mocking going on visually.
Right, possibly.
Visually, a little bit of mocking, and
you look great, though, Jeffy. You look great.
So seriously, the chapstick thing. What happened? It just started spreading all over his face until it was like in clumps.
It did seem to get actually worse as he went.
It did. At first I thought, is he like drooling? Is it spittle? What?
No one heard a word he said.
No.
The entire country just...
That is what happens when something, because this happened once to Ted Cruz. If you remember this, during one of the debates, he had a little bit of spittle on his lip, and he was having a great debate at the time, and then
that little white spittle,
and that was it.
Yeah, and remember what was his name?
Bobby Jindal.
Bobby Jindal. He had a drink of water.
No, that was Marco Rubio.
Yeah. Oh, that was Marco Rubio.
Right, Jindal was sweating and stumbling, and oh man.
Yeah, that's right. That was right.
Not that I remember.
I minimized the Bobby Jindal. Thank you, Jeffy. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, what did you think of this? Did you watch the speech?
I did.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
He pulled it off. He stayed strong, focused through it. He slowed down a little bit.
I thought that was the best speech I've ever heard him give.
One person called last night. We were broadcasting it on Blaze Radio Network, and they reminded us that it was, pretty humble for Trump. I mean, there wasn't a lot of eyes. It was all about the country. It was all about us. I mean, it was pretty strong.
He hit exactly the right tone.
And if you're, look, if you're for a job, I mean, the African caucus, the African American caucus gave him no credit.
They
nothing.
looked like radicals.
The other Democrats of the other caucuses gave him nothing. It was terrible.
I'm not saying I'm having a difficult time
taking
you seriously right now, but there's a small part of me that's having.
I don't.
It's really funny because I can talk to him like this. I've never taken him seriously, so I doesn't change.
Wait.
Thanks, Jeffy. I appreciate it.
It's awesome. Sorry.
There was.
It was like, He goes all in on that stuff, man. Jeffy's the man.
We have about 6 inches of Vaseline on his face now.
Very similar to Joe Kennedy.
Oil prices are going up from the amount of Vaseline used in the last few minutes.
That's one we got to put that on Facebook and Twitter today.
Good stuff.
You'll need to see that one. We also have a bunch of audio we need to get to at some point from the actual speech.
Let's go through some of it now. Tonight at 5 o'clock, we are going to go through a few things. One, am I alone in the way I felt? I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved this speech. I was blown away by it. I thought it was the best speech he's ever given. I think it's one of the best speeches politically I've heard in a long time. He hit Barack Obama. I think Barack Obama will feel like he hit him in the face for 45 minutes. But I don't. That wasn't his intent. It was just the opposite of Barack Obama.
Yeah, so much more effective than, calling Barack Obama a name or saying he was a disaster.
There was nothing of that.
It was just
a repudiation
of everything he did.
Of everything he did. And it was amazingly satisfying. He got into spending, which is, over $2 trillion of spending, which I am absolutely not for. However, what was amazing to me was the Democrats. They were given everything they say they want. I mean, the only thing he didn't say was, and you know what? Free universal education. I mean, it was...
And they wouldn't have clapped for that either.
And they wouldn't have clapped.
Nope.
It made them look so radical, I think, to the average person. 46% of Democrats thought this was a really good speech, approved of it.
Yeah, 43, I believe it
43.
was. But that's incredibly high for something
him?
like this. For Trump especially.
Trump? Oh, my gosh. Yes.
97% of Republicans, but the overall was 75% approval for a speech like
That's
that is
big.
incredibly high.
That's big. For this guy, that's huge.
It's really big for anybody, though.
Yes.
I mean, even the highly praised by the media Barack Obama speeches didn't have 75% approval ratings typically.
So I really liked the speech all the way through. I like the way he handled it, and I can praise him not for the policies, but for what he was trying to do and reaching out to the left. But they wanted no part of it. It was remarkable. But am I the only one, because I haven't heard anybody else say this today? I was really freaked out by the war thing.
Yeah, you brought that up, and I know you were going to go over this today at 5 p.m., really dissecting it, because...
It's kind of like new war and classic war. You don't want classic war coming back.
No.
Like new Coke,
No.
classic Coke. Yeah. Let's stay with the new war. And I'm going to compare, because this is not the same. This is not what people my age have lived through. If we go to war with North Korea, it'll probably be much more like World War II. Don't want to do it. And it's really concerning. You didn't pick up that vibe.
I mean, I was not surprised to see him hit North Korea. Obviously, it's been a big topic. And it was right after the ISIS section, so it felt like there was a natural flow to it. I mean, if you think about it, I didn't pick it up at the time, but as you laid out the case, and I know you're going to do that again at 5 tonight on the Blaze, not only did he focus on it, he used very, I think, precise language.
Precise.
And then he illustrated it emotionally with multiple guests to show you how bad North Korea really is.
Yep. I mean, it's one thing to do the guy on the crutches, because that was emotional, and it was really powerful. And if you're my age, it reminds you of the Cold War. And he was sending a message to the people who lived through the Cold War. This hasn't stopped. This evil is still here. And then with the family of, the Warmbier family, whose son went over, was arrested on a stupid charge of taking something off of a bulletin board that he wanted to keep as a souvenir. They charged him as an enemy of the state. They tortured him for a year, dumped his body over here in the United States, and he died a few days later. That one, quite honestly, that is act of war stuff.
Yeah.
And the way it was presented last night was, look, here's the evil, and here's what they did to us. It was, I'm hoping that
powerful.
It is posturing for North Korea, but it is also, historically speaking, that feels like laying the foundation of, we're going for these guys. We're going for war.
You felt like it was like an axis of evil type of case. Right, like he's laying out.
Yeah, not even an
exactly.
axis of evil. This is an evil empire. It was Reagan's evil empire speech, which I support, and I support what Donald Trump did. You know, I've always said I want a president with a twitchy eye, which means I want somebody that the foes don't know. God, this guy could do it. The problem is Donald Trump has like two twitchy eyes and like a twitchy leg. I think he has restless leg syndrome too. So nobody knows exactly what he's going to do. So it makes me a little nervous if he's just doing this to scare North Korea, which is the case I'm going to lay out tonight. That's good, and he does that really well. But there is also a chance that we are preparing for war, and I'm going to also lay out the case tonight. That is an entirely different thing than the wars we have seen in the last 30 or 40 years.
Glenn Beck.
Have you read anywhere about the congressman that walked out on the speech last night? I mean, do you remember the hoopla around Joe Wilson when he said, "You lie"? And as it turns out, a couple of years later, it's true. He did lie. But you remember how you don't treat the president of the United States this way? How about the first lady? Did anybody notice that the Democrats sat on their hands for the first lady? I mean, it's not like, you know, and you shouldn't do this with anyone. But, I mean, Hillary Clinton, you could say, became partisan because she got involved in health care and everything else. Melania Trump is an innocent bystander here. I don't think she wanted to. She didn't aspire to be first lady. She's the first lady. Can you treat her with respect? You can't even applaud her? That's really just despicable. The Democrats last night, at least in my view, blew it, if I may quote the president, bigly. Last night, if you were a Democrat and you heard the first part of the speech, and I don't mean like a crazy, I'm out in the street marching I just mean a regular person. You know, you're just, you don't vote for the Republicans, but, and you heard that Donald Trump last night, who sounded reasoned and reasonable. You may not have liked the first 45 minutes because maybe your politics. But when he started in on the gravy train of, hey, I've got 4 pillars on reform for our borders, and the first one is DACA and a path to citizenship, not securing the border, path to citizenship.
And beyond DACA. I mean, remember, DACA is not a path to citizenship. Right. It's just legal status. Right. This is actually going beyond DACA.
When you heard that there was the lowest unemployment rating for African Americans, and the camera went on the Black Caucus, and they all were sitting on their hands. You realized these guys are not in touch with me at all. These are radicals. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, keep going. You are destroying middle American Democrats.
Glenn Beck, Mercury.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
If I had access to the Oval Office today, I would walk in and say, Mr. President, you know exactly who I am and how I feel about you. Wow. That was one of the best speeches I think a president has given in a long time. I'd like to work with you on the teleprompter thing just a little bit. And I really want to kiss the feet of the writer of this. It was really good. It connected. 70% of it is something that I've waited to hear for a long time, and it was delivered well for him. 30%, the first pillar is a path to citizenship, not the border security. I want you to hear what he said last night in case you missed it.
The first pillar of our framework generously offers a path to citizenship for 1.8 million illegal immigrants who were brought here by their parents at a young age. That covers almost 3 times more people than the previous administration covered. Under our plan, those who meet education and work requirements and show good moral character will be able to become full citizens of the United States over a 12-year period. The second pillar fully secures the border. That means building a great wall on the southern border, and it means hiring more heroes like CJ to keep our communities safe. Crucially, our plan closes the terrible loopholes exploited by criminals and terrorists to enter our country, and it finally ends the horrible and dangerous practice of catch and release. The third pillar ends the visa lottery, a program that randomly hands out green cards without any regard for skill, merit, or the safety of American people. It's time to begin moving toward a merit-based immigration system, one that admits people who are skilled, who want to work, who will contribute to our society, and who will love and respect our country. The fourth and final pillar protects the nuclear family by ending chain migration.
Okay. So you notice his eyes went right over to the left when he said citizenship. That was a surprise for them. That should have taken them, they should have stood up. If their principle really was trying to get this passed, they should have stood up and cheered, because no other Republican would have ever suggested that has the support of the right. No, can you imagine? Imagine if Ted Cruz would have said that, Marco Rubio. Imagine what talk radio would be saying today. Imagine that.
No, we don't have to imagine it. I mean, they did say those things.
Right. So now, today, you have a president who is still being supported. You have your little gift in exchange for what we want. Nobody's ever suggested this before, and you sat on your hands? Unbelievable. Pat Gray is joining us.
They sat on their hands for we need to put America first. They didn't clap. They didn't get up. They didn't do anything. I want to put America first from now on. And they're like, oh, I don't want America first. I can't go along with anything more than 33rd. I'm not America first. No. How can
we worked hard in getting us, 24th in math.
How can you not applaud for America first? What is the downside of that? It looked really bad.
It's actually your responsibility, really right, as a representative to treat. I mean, there's a little bit of connotation with that phrase going back historically.
I'm going to give them the benefit that I shouldn't. They don't deserve it. It's not what I think the majority were thinking. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on America first. But it falls apart quickly.
Yeah, I'm not going to, because look at what you gave them the path to citizenship, which you've been yelling about for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Didn't like that either. Well, what is it you want?
They didn't stand up. The Black Caucus did not even clap when he said
low unemployment for blacks.
The lowest in recorded history.
Yeah.
That is quite an accomplishment. I don't care who made it. That's good news.
Not to them.
I know.
It was remarkable.
Principles is a great thing to focus on here, because you're right. If their principle was to actually help out people who are on DACA, help out dreamers, help out people who want to become citizens, I mean, go back in history. What have Republicans been beaten up on and lost their potential politically for? Much less than this.
Oh, yeah.
Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, none of them suggested what Trump suggested last night.
If Jeb Bush would have won the presidency, it would have been even a weirder parallel universe. But if he would have won the presidency, let me tell you this, man. If he gave that part of that speech at the State of the Union last night, if it was Jeb Bush, Oh my gosh, it would be there might be riots in the streets with Republicans.
And this is why it's so clear they don't care about these immigrants at all. The left does not care about them. If they cared about them, they could take advantage of this. Trump is giving I think, a legitimate attempt at saying, look, I understand you guys want this done. I want the border wall done. I want a couple of changes to tighten up the immigration system. He's saying, I will give you your side of this. I'll just give it to you.
You give us our side.
And you give us at least part of what we want.
Yeah.
And they won't even engage.
And here's what's amazing. The strategic error in that was remarkable. Just remarkable. Think of the power they would have had if they would have gone on. This speech has a 70% approval rating.
75, yeah.
75. Mm-hmm. If they would have got up last night on just the first one, just the first one.
Yep.
You don't have to stand up for all three pillars, just the first one. And then been on today and said, well, I have a problem with the first, the second, third, and fourth pillar, but we can get that at the negotiating table. It was, great of the president to give us this. You then at least have the illusion of fairness and I'm willing to work together. You want to talk about a do-nothing Congress. This is a sit-on-your-hands Congress. This is a I'm not even showing up Congress.
Pat, how do you balance the two sides of this speech, which, if you define it this way, one, presentation, a positive vision of America, a lot of legitimate accomplishments, some real success and results, and balance that against some policy prescriptions for the future, including $2 trillion and mass amnesty and citizenship and, family leave care and infrastructure. And I mean, do you just take this as a positive moment of the presidency, or do you worry about what he's suggesting?
No, I'm worried about what he's suggesting. This has been the problem with this president from the beginning is, he's not a true conservative. So during the first year, we were actually pleasantly surprised that most of his policies seemed to be. The things he got done were pretty much conservative. But now, in year two, he's starting to show you the rest of his agenda, which includes all the things you mentioned. And that's what we were afraid of in the beginning. And that's why I wasn't a huge Trump supporter from the start. But for Democrats not to come along on this, they could have big wins right now.
Yeah.
They could have huge wins.
They are so hurting them.
He is like-minded with them on many issues. Yeah. And for them to just discount all of that because of their sheer unadulterated hatred for the man, really bad politically, I think.
I have a percolating theory here on the best way to get conservative things out of the Trump White House. And I don't know that I necessarily have proved this out yet, but I think there's a theory here. There's something here, which is part one, Donald Trump suggests something liberal. This is how you get conservative stuff out of the White House. Part one, Donald Trump announces he wants to do something that's liberal. Part two, the Democrats, being the awful human beings that they are in most cases that are in Congress, no matter what he said, even if it's something really liberal that they're supposed to like, they treat him like he's Hitler.
Yeah.
And so in response, from being treated like he was Hitler, he gets so pissed off, he goes the opposite direction and gets something really conservative done.
That could actually happen.
I mean, it's not an it's happened.
Happen.
I feel like with some of these things where there's been this trial balloon of something liberal, the liberals react like maniacs. And then on the other side, he's like, you know what? You're not getting any of that. In fact, we're going 20 steps the other direction.
Yeah, I thought it was an important moment when his eyes shifted. His eyes shifted over to the left, and or his right, and he looked over at the Democrats, and he looked on the word path to citizenship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Path to citizenship. They might have expected, I'll give you DACA. And he looked over like, try this one on for size. Yeah. I'm giving a path to citizenship. And he looked over to them.
He sure did.
That was I believe that Donald Trump is the kind of guy who he does not offer candy and flowers very often. He is a stick guy, not a sugar guy. He offered sugar last night, and they rejected him and, quite honestly, acted wildly inappropriate on the things they should have loved. He usually doesn't go for sugar a second time. He usually goes for a stick. And honestly, Democrats, you are blowing it because you could
good.
get these things. I know, good. You could get these things, and B, you could look like you're working together. You are going to go down as a party that is out of step with about 40% of your base. You know, they keep saying, well, Donald Trump only has 37% support of, the country. Well, what is the support with conservatives? About 70?
Yeah, 70 or 80.
Okay, 70 or 80. So Donald Trump is out of step with about 20% of conservatives. 43% last night said that was a really good speech of Democrats. You are out of step with more of your base than he is out of step with. That's pretty remarkable. You better wake up, because the Democrat in the middle of the country doesn't hate God, doesn't hate the country, is not for all of this, 93 gender crap. They're not there. That's not who they are, and they're not going there.
And then the Democrats have the nerve to trot out a Kennedy for the rebuttal.
Oh, my gosh. A Kennedy whose grandson...
the grandson of...
The secretary of his grandfather was Mary Jo Kopechne.
So it was weird that we had chapstick acquitted last night. I called police.
That is the line of the day.
I called police right away. I didn't wait 10 hours. He's drowning in chapstick. Please, help him. Help him now.
Thank you, Pat.
Don't forget these cookies, Pat, because I'll eat all of them, please. I'll eat this one, too. But Pat Gray is coming up on Pat Gray Unleashed on the Blaze Radio and TV networks. Please subscribe, check it out. And you can also get it via the podcast on iTunes and anywhere else you get them.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck.
A couple of things, one more important than the other. The audacity of Melania Trump to wear white in January last night.
How dare? Where's the coverage on this?
Where's the coverage on this? I mean, Vanity Fair's got to get on this. Somebody's got to get on this quickly. But there is some bad news today. A GOP retreat was happening.
Yeah.
And all of the representatives got onto a train. Not all of them, but many of them got onto a train. The train struck a garbage truck. No word on why the garbage truck was there, how that accident happened, but several people were hurt.
No official word on injuries yet, though it seems like there's several representatives that were on the train that have tweeted they're okay, but there are some injuries. It does look like the truck did not make out well in that battle, which tends to happen in a train versus truck battle.
The train usually wins.
Yeah. There are some pictures of the truck, and there is a lot of garbage all over the place. And
not a lot of truck?
Yeah, not a lot of truck.
Is there any clue as to why the garbage truck is there a possibility that,
there's something other than just a truck made a big mistake?
Yeah.
Nothing I've seen suggested yet. It doesn't seem like it was anything. Although it's obviously, something you want to look into whenever any of these things happen, but it doesn't seem to be anything so far, at least, that would lead you to believe anything other than a bad accident. And they're treating apparently the driver of the truck.
He lived?
Well, I don't know. You treat them and hope that maybe he's still alive at some level.
Well, you're not treating them if they're dead.
Yeah, but you are going to do everything you can, right?
Yeah.
And also, I will say it's probably a representative's word from 100 yards away, so they're not going to know the fact.
Holy cow.
But still, it's
prayers for everybody.
Yeah,
and their families.
Scary. It's scary, especially with the last year of GOP.
That's why I thought of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that, before the shooting last year over the summer. Great show you don't want to miss tonight, 5 o'clock only on theblaze.com/TV.
Glenn Beck. Mercury.